The Sahara, 1897. Under the blazing sun, a caravan wound its way across an endless sea of dunes. Camels groaned under their burdens. Merchants muttered prayers against the heat, and the horizon shimmered with mirages. Among the travelers was Hassan al-Farouk, a wealthy spice trader from Cairo known for both his fortune and his ruthlessness in business. He commanded the caravan with iron authority, keeping the men moving despite exhaustion. On the fifth night, the group made camp at an oasis. A rare circle of palms and water glimmering under starlight. The men shared dates and strong coffee, told stories, and tried to forget the vast silence that surrounded them. Hassan retired early to his private tent, guarded by thick rugs and brass lamps, carrying with him a jeweled dagger he was never seen without. At dawn, a cry shattered the stillness. Hassan's servant stumbled from the tent, pale with terror. Inside, the merchant lay dead, his throat cut clean and deep. The dagger, still jeweled, was missing. Yet the tent flap had been tied shut from the outside, with intricate knots, exactly as the servant had fastened them before his master slept. Outside the tent, the sand was untouched. No footprints, no drag marks, only the smooth surface sculpted by desert wind. It was as if the killer had vanished into the air. The caravan panicked. Whispers of jinn and desert spirits filled the camp. Some swore Hassan had angered unseen powers. Others muttered that one among them was a murderer. To maintain order, the caravan leader, an old Tuareg guide named Idris, summoned the only man who might untangle the mystery: Charles Everett, an English traveler and amateur detective journeying with the group for adventure. Everett had studied the habits of Bedouin and Tuareg, but nothing in his experience compared to a murder with no footprints in the sand. Everett examined the tent. The ropes were indeed tied from the outside, but in a peculiar way the knots were loops that could be pulled tight from within, creating the illusion that someone else had bound them. The sand, smooth and undisturbed, troubled him most. He crouched low, brushing his fingers over the surface. A thin crust had formed overnight from dew and wind, masking the ground beneath. If someone had stepped there earlier, the marks could be erased when the crust settled. He questioned the men. Hassan's servant swore he had tied the flap and seen no one enter. Idris the guide admitted he despised Hassan for cheating him of wages, but denied murder. Another merchant, Yusuf, had quarreled with Hassan the previous evening over a shipment of saffron. He was greedy, Yusuf spat. But killing in the desert? That is suicide. We need each other to survive. Everett's instincts told him the motive was greed. Hassan had carried a coffer of gold and jewels in his tent, wealth enough to tempt any man. Yet the coffer was untouched. That puzzled him. Why slit the man's throat and leave the treasure behind? Unless the murder was not about wealth at all. Returning to the body, Everett noticed Hassan's hands. The fingernails were broken, as though he had fought or clawed at something. On his index finger clung a tiny thread of red silk, foreign to the rugs of the tent. Where had it come from? That night, as the caravan prepared to move, Everett lingered near the camels. There he saw it among the saddlebags of Yusuf, a length of red silk cloth, frayed at the edges. He confronted the merchant, who laughed nervously. It is trade goods, nothing more. But Everett pressed further, asking why the cloth smelled faintly of blood. Yusuf's face hardened. The truth spilled out. Hassan had cheated him in Cairo, taking his saffron shipment without fair payment. Yusuf had sworn revenge. He knew Hassan's habits, knew he always slept with the dagger near his bed. During the night, Yusuf entered the tent before the dew had hardened the sand, wrapped the silk around Hassan's mouth to stifle him, then cut his throat with his own jeweled dagger. To hide his presence, he tied the flap with loops. Hassan could tighten from inside, making it seem secure. By dawn, the wind had smoothed the ground, erasing every step. But why leave the coffer of gold? Everett demanded. Yusuf's eyes burned with bitterness. I did not want his fortune. I wanted him dead. Let his wealth rot in the desert sands. Idris and the other merchants were aghast. To spill blood in the Sahara was to endanger them all. Revenge mattered less than survival. Yusuf was bound and forced to march with the caravan until they reached the nearest garrison, where he would face judgment. Hassan's body was buried by the oasis, the desert swallowing him as it had countless others. As the caravan moved on, Everett reflected on the fragile line between justice and vengeance. In the desert, survival demanded trust, yet greed and pride had destroyed it in one violent stroke. And as the dunes shifted behind them, smoothing all traces, it was as though the murder itself had vanished, another secret buried in the endless sands.